KitGuru's with Corsair at Computex 2024, and this is the second year running. We've been in the dedicated video room that Corsair provides for us video makers, and it's a little bit intimidating. They've got so much stuff this year that they've actually given us a handful of product cards. The very first one relates to the new 3500X cases. Come on in close, Dominic. The 3500X, available in white and black, priced at $90 without any fans. You can install up to 8 120s with 2 on the PSU shroud. If you choose, you can put 2 140s in the roof. That means you can install a 280 or 360 in the roof and a 360 in the side. Power supply appears to be fixed, and you will notice it supports the backside power connectors for the motherboard. Let me turn the case around. If you buy this case bare, as I say, $90. If you buy it with ARGB fans, $125. If you go the full Monty with IQ Link, $150. You can see the price difference it makes if you add fans to the equation. To my mind, this is the classic mid-size ATX tower from Corsair, and we're moving on from the old D family to the new X family. And as you can see on the white version of the case, the glass is so clean and clear, we don't even need to remove it to avoid reflections. I think when it comes to the review time, we'll have the white over the black. And we've cleared the table, and we've replaced the smaller cases with the enormous new 9000D. Let's get the glass off, and then Dominic can look inside. The 9000D is similar to the 1000D that caused us some heartache. There are a huge number of changes. Primarily, this case is aimed at airflow, so mesh replaces glass. The drive tower, which was fixed in the 1000D, in fact riveted in place and was removed by a number of modders, can now be removed quite easily. There's a build in the next room, we'll add some B-roll, which shows exactly that. This is an ATX power housing. However, if we go around the back, because I'm not going to move this case as it's so heavy, we have the familiar drive doors. Behind those, behold the number of grommets. Almost infinite. Interestingly, the build next door, they've actually put a panel of acrylic across those grommets to make it all look prettier, to mount some pumps. You'll see grommets down here. Intriguingly, you can mount a second system in this case, and the built system is running off an SFX power supply in this location here. They have a huge amount of hardware running on SFX power, and I think that could well be the way of the future. You'll notice IQ Link hardware. Close up the drive doors. At the front, we slide out the big dust filter. Oh, hang on, I've just noticed. The dust filter, which has a cutout for the Corsair logo. Yeah, can't keep those boys down. And here we have a system called Infinity Rail. Pull at the top and the bottom, it slides. This is a radiator fan rack. Look, the mounts move. The locations are not fixed. Also, look, markings, measurements, so you can know exactly where you want to put your various fans or radiators. What a nifty system. As I said yesterday at a different booth, this is either genius or stupidity. If it's genius, it could have been done 5 years ago, but a review will tell all. The front I/O hub is also worthy of mention. You can see USB Type A's, you can see USB-C. However, it has a single Type-C connector to connect to your motherboard. That is because it is actually a USB hub in its own right. In other words, it's a relatively expensive device. We estimate something like $30. So you do not need to use the traditional USB 3.0 horrible connector to your motherboard any longer. And isn't that just welcome news? And to put things in perspective, you take an enormous graphics card and it barely fills the case. Look at it, there's so much space. You're going to need custom loop in this case, perhaps a second system. You can see the mounts for Mini ITX. If you don't have a lot of hardware to put in the 9000D, you'd be wasting your time. And I can just imagine James is salivating at the prospect of reviewing this new case.
And now we're moving over to talk about a new initiative from Corsair called Custom Lab. And this essentially lets you customize a few different of their peripherals to more or less your heart's content. As Leo's showing here, we have got a mouse pad, we've got the M75 wireless gaming mouse, and we've also got the K65 Plus wireless gaming keyboard, and they don't look quite how they did when we reviewed them. That's because Corsair is actually using what it calls the dark cherry aesthetic for these ones, and if Leo just shows up on the screen now, effectively what Custom Lab lets you do is choose either different collections, as you can see, if I can find the mouse, as you can see here, you can choose a few different preset styles of aesthetic, but what I think is more interesting is the ability to kind of design your own bespoke aesthetic, I guess. So I've just chosen the mouse, and you can see here we can choose a bunch of different colors as, I guess, the signature base color. The faceplate, there's a bunch of different ones here. Some of these will cost extra, I guess, depending on the complexity of the design. I'm going to go for this nice sci-fi dark, which matches the purple I chose before. And then you can choose your side buttons. I'm going to go for white for a nice contrast. Black or light grey scroll wheel. I think we'll go light grey. And then you can choose PTFE or glass feet, which are increasingly popular in the mouse enthusiast community. Let's go for those, extra 15 bucks. Who cares about that? Cable and dongle, white. And there we go, that's our build summary. So it might cost a little bit extra, but if you only choose, I guess, the base colors that don't come out and added premium, it will actually cost just the exact same as if you bought one of these off the shelf. So if you do want to think about picking up one of these peripherals and you want to add a bit more personality to it, that could be a good way of doing it at no added cost. At the minute, this is only launching in the US with select peripherals, so just this mouse and just this keyboard, but we are told the range is hopefully going to expand in the near future, and hopefully it'll be coming to the UK soon. Right, so I've now moved over to some driving. I'm going to go fairly slowly so I don't embarrass myself too much on camera. This is actually Corsair's first entry into the professional sim racing rig world. But what I'm really interested in here is the monitors. So these are the new Corsair Xenon 34 WQHD 240C. I'm very impressed I remembered that name. This is essentially a new QD OLED monitor from Corsair. It's using the 34-inch 240Hz QD OLED panel from Samsung. And as I brake to turn the corner, not too bad. So obviously that means you get near instant response times, you're going to get effectively infinite contrast ratio, and also impressive HDR capabilities with up to 1000 nits peak brightness. It's interesting that while Corsair did announce this week in its press release, they're not making too much of a big deal of this monitor just yet. As we're told, it's not going to be available for at least another month or two, so it'll be interesting to see when it comes out, and pricing is also still TBC. But anyone who knows me knows I love my OLED monitors, so I'll be very interested to check this out once it hits the market.
Components for your PC build. I'm intrigued by their new SF1000 SFX power supply. It doesn't appear to have a rating, whether it's platinum, titanium or gold, I have no clue. But the fact that Corsair is actually getting properly into the SFX power supply market, let's turn it around to the connectors for Dominic. I consider that to be a good thing and somewhat overdue. Fans, on the other hand, Corsair's been doing these things for many years in 1,000 permutations. And look, I have a cheat sheet. Primarily for me, the takeaway is RGB and non-RGB, so RX and RX RGB. And someone did not think about that name for those of us who have to say these things out loud. However, we also have max, so 25mm on the left, 30mm max on the right. We've seen a number of 30mm form factors throughout Computex and in recent months. Higher performance is the promise, obviously. Just look at the extra area for the fan blades. And of course, with the extra thickness, there's more room for those blades to work away. This is going to be one for James to review. That seems to be about the third time I've said that in this review. But look at this in front of those fans. IQ Link Titan RX RGB. So it's an IQ Link 360mm AIO cooler, as you can see. However, the pump is a Corsair pump, and it is on, and the pump lives on the cold plate. This is, despite the Titan name, actually cheaper than the current IQ Link 360, but we're not certain how much, and we're not going to press Corsair to tell us. If the current IQ Link is about 170 in the UK, pick a figure out of the air that's slightly lower. However, by eye, the thing that surprises me is this appears to be better in every respect. For me, that is a neater Construction, look, you've got cable connections on the side. That strikes me as a better thing. And just look how neat and tidy it is around the actual radiator and the fan setup. You haven't got messy cables to plug in. I like the look of this a great deal. And those fans, I understand, will flow better than the current IQ-Link 120mm fans. So once we get this on review, I suspect the Titan, despite being slightly cheaper, will actually take pride of place in our test charts. We at CES saw these optional tops for the pump. That is a VRM cooler. And I think that's just, as it were, is that an LCD or is it dumb? That's LCD. That is an optional top that will cool your VRMs, obviously downdraft. And there we have an LCD. Or you can go for the Corsair logo. Plenty of options, and if you have a 3D printer, you can, as the saying goes, fill your boots. We're signing off from Corsair at Computex 2024, and basically they're giving us a ton of work. There are many products for us to review. I've got cases to look at, James is going to have cooling, and Dominic's going to be looking at monitors, and I imagine Matt will be looking at Elgato. So we're all going to be very happy. Don't forget, it's kitguru.net on the web, and we're also on TikTok.